So they go up to the source of this human DNA, and they find a skeletal corpse, which we find out is Colonel S. Ritchie. So in one of the hotel rooms, there's a dead guy, and we find his suit. I really like the suit and the NASA logo, which showed them and the audience exactly who he was and where he was from, 2037 AD. And the NASA symbol has a badge, and it says "First Beyond the Solar System," which is explained later. But I do like that it was kind of like our time, but a little bit in the future as well. So it's kind of like a glimpse of humanity beginning to leave the solar system with manned spaceflight.
Yeah, I like the science references, like the past, when it was made. I really don't like the references to like, oh, Shakespeare, we're going to do this. I like the references that they make up, like even the launch date was even, it was like July 23rd, something or other. And yeah, I like that kind of stuff, the future history kind of vibes. I'm really into that.
Yeah, I like that because Star Trek is always very hopeful for the future, but it must have its beginnings somewhere. So it gives you kind of like a look at what those beginnings would be. We've not had our first manned space flight beyond the solar system. Probably, who knows if it will happen in our lifetime. But on that date in 2037, I'm sure we'll all be posting on Twitter, fucking good luck, Colonel S. Ritchie, on your first manned space flight. I hope we are posting stuff like that.
How close is that to the when was first contact? 2063, the day before humanity's first encounter. So it was 37 to 63. So they went past the solar system 37, then 63 was first contact. So they did the first thing, and that's warp drive. They did warp drive, and that's fairly reasonable. It could be a bit quicker. I don't know.
No, I think that's a fair amount of time. I think that's about right. Once you improve technology, it just keeps getting better and at a faster rate, right?
Yeah, that's why I mean it could be even quicker. But warp drive needs a breakthrough. It needs a genius, like a trick, science fictionally. So it's not a natural progression. It does need a trick. But there's also I'm just on the Wikipedia, after the Earth has been devastated by nuclear holocaust of World War III.
Yeah, World War III.
And it's they got a lot done. They had a nuclear holocaust and then they did all of this. Maybe that's what we need. We just need to flatten it and then just start a new Star Trek did. Maybe that's what Star Trek was predicting.
Don't tempt it.
They were predicting it.
Can't believe you're just willing to say that out loud. With everything going on, holy shit.
You've got to say it. You can't not say it.
Just flatten everything so we can get the manned space flight past the solar system.
If you don't fucking joke about it, they've won. That's what they want you to be. They want you to be cowering, scared of it all. But Star Trek makes you hopeful for it all. Even if it does get flattened, we get to have Enterprise.
And you people, you're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
And I love that. I love that how when they're in the room and they work out that he's Colonel S. Ritchie. Worf immediately goes over to his bedside cabinet and opens a drawer, and he goes, "Commander, some curiosities." And there's the diary, and there's the book, the Hotel Royale, and Riker picks the book up and takes the book off Worf, and he just passes it to Data "Here, fucking read that, robot man."
Yeah, I didn't like the way he did that. It's just summarize, please, or whatever.
Yeah, and he, Data reads that whole book in 5 seconds. I love it when they do scenes like that, and Data just kind of flicks through all the pages, reads the whole book in 5 seconds.
So Worf can open drawers, but not doors. Yeah, but he closes the door. He closes the door on the way out of the scene because he slams it. Oh my god!
Yeah, he does slam it.
He slams that door
hard. So they realize everything in the book is happening in the hotel, and the diary of Colonel S. Ritchie says, everyone on his ship died when it got into contact with some alien life form. They've killed everyone on the ship, but it wasn't on purpose. And they thought that the Hotel Royale book, which is a novel from Earth, was their explanation of how people live where they come from. So the aliens have built this whole hotel to recreate what life is like on Earth, or what they think life is like on Earth for Colonel S. Ritchie, and then he has to live there. But it's a really awful book, and so they've basically trapped him in a living nightmare, because he's just stuck in this awful casino with cliche characters, and he's like, he's from like 2037. I do really like the idea of a guy's just been like trapped in an old timey novel.
Yeah, it gave me especially when Riker comes in and becomes completely enamored, it really gave me like the Shining vibes, and like that continues on with the old timey the novel. Like it really feels like the hotel is like all this casino is hypnotized Riker into actually liking it. I think that's why he's so dopey. But
I never really picked up on that, but that's kind of a good similarity.
Yeah, when he comes in, he just sort of like glazes over, and it's like he's sort of hypnotized by it, which brings into question what his thing is made of. Like, what is going on here? Like, they don't have life signs, so what did these aliens make this trap, this casino trap out of? Like, it's just very strange. They never really go into it.
I think it's cool that when they realize they're trapped and they try and speak to people to work out how to get out, none of the people talk apart from the main characters. And then once you find out about the book, it makes sense that none of them talk, because they're not like fleshed out enough. Like the old women on the one-armed bandits, and she's just staring at it. I thought, like, if you've ever been to Vegas, there are real people like that that don't talk and just operate the bandit.
She wins the jackpot or whatever, but then her hand instantly goes back to it to do like another pull, and it's just like so. I like that little touch.
I like that. It was a nice touch. And at the end of Colonel S. Ritchie's diary, he says, "I shall welcome death when it comes." I thought that was pretty grim.
I think that's pretty badass.
Yeah, it's just kind of like you got this rotting corpse in the bed, and it's like, "I shall welcome death when it comes."
Yes? There is a female voice asking if we want room service.
I believe she is asking if we want the room cleaned.
Tell her no.
No.
So we move into Act 3. We're back on the ship, and trying to work out how to get them out. By this point, they've managed to get some kind of radio contact, but they can't beam them out. And we see Pulaski for the first time in the episode, and I think the only time in the episode. We just see Kate Pulaski for like 10 seconds, and they're going to blast. What is it they say? They're going to blast through the atmosphere of the planet so they can beam them up. Picard is on the ship, and he wants to access the book from the computer and read it on his iPad, his giant black iPad thing that he's got. And he says something like, "Computer, access the novel," and he calls it Hotel Royale. He goes, "Hotel Royale." It's so fucking weird how he says it. I just had to write it in my notes because it was just so fucking odd.
Yeah.
I think that's like he only get like 1 or 2 shots with this TV show. They're filming a episode every week, so it was just good enough. It comes across so weird.
Yeah, it's not a great take. They definitely had to move on.
The text of the novel entitled Hotel Royale by Todd Matthews.
He goes over to the Texan guy, and he's trying to get him to show his car. He goes, how did you get here? And he says he drove from Texas to Vegas, which is really far, and you definitely wouldn't want to drive that far. But Americans love driving for miles, don't they?
Yeah, they do have nice roads, in fairness. For like ages, you can just sit and drive.
And yeah, oh, that's it. That's how I knew the year. He says his Cadillac is a 91 Cadillac with only 80,000 miles on it. So it's not the 60s, is it the early 90s?
No, surely not. Does America look like that? I can't believe he says that.
Drove my car. I got a 91 Caddy with only 80,000 miles on it.
Yeah, he did say 91. It's not like early at all.
So it's not the 60s, right? It's kind of like got a 60s, maybe 40s vibe to it, but it's 91, or I guess like it's the early 90s.
I just like the way like she was dressed was so, I don't know, it was just so old. It's not like But so it's a book written by what? Some guy in the future that's writing about a casino back in the day? Or when was the book in the show written?
I guess it doesn't say.
Just trying some like mental gymnastics here. Like, because the book is just written by a person that doesn't really know what they're doing, and they could be writing like, oh, what this woman looks like, and I don't know. I was around for the 90s and I didn't really see people like that. Maybe in America they dress like that.
Maybe, and then there's all sorts of weird stuff. There's like the cigarette holders, the dresses. I don't know. I think it could. I mean, it must be right. I mean, they're writing the show. They know what the costumes look like, and it's set in modern times, right?
I cannot believe that's set in the 90s. But I suppose like the glasses or whatever. But I can't believe I have to look at the glasses. All the costumes look so old. I'm not going to get over this. I can't.
I wasn't even born then, so before my time, 91.
That blows my mind. Maybe 91 was really that long ago.
You having this scene like act out from the book between the concierge and the busboy. Yeah, when Mickey D comes in, he has like his own entrance music as well. So Mickey D is like this caricature bad guy. He's wearing a white suit. He's just like a villain. He looks like the bad guy from Fallout New Vegas.
And and him as well. He's from the 90s.
Yeah, no.
I'm not getting over this. I think it's smarter than I realize. I think they're thinking about the book has been written like 50 years after the 90s or whatever, and they're just referencing stuff. And yeah, that's definitely what's going on. Honestly, it can't be the 90s. This is ridiculous.
Or it could be a mistake in the writing, say that he had a 91 Cadillac.
Maybe, yeah. But they just passed over it.
He definitely does say that, and that car does look like what he would drive. It really does. It even like his outfit he looks like he was made to drive that car. To be honest,
the gangster. Like, I've never seen anyone look like that in the 90s. Honestly.
Yeah, he looks like he has he walks around with a toothpick in his mouth, flipping a coin.
Yeah. Nobody existed looking like that in the 90s. I swear.
And Mickey D, when he goes over to the guy, he says, "Come on!" He's trying to get the guy to go outside, because he's gonna kill him. And he's like, "Come on, baggage man!" I fucking love that line.
Yeah,
I like that. Come on, baggage man.
They say, "Oh, what happens at the end of the book?" And Picard says the foreign investors buy the hotel and they leave the manager in charge and they leave. And so they think, right, that's how we leave, because at the start of the episode, when they enter the hotel, the manager thinks that they're the three foreign investors. So the way to leave is to buy the hotel, and then they'll be able to leave. So they come up with a scheme very quickly to fix the gambling and win all the money, right?
Yeah, very quantum leap. Like, let's solve the We now got the mission, so we solve this mission to get away.
I just love how they go over to the craps table. They have a very crap explanation of how craps works. I think it's just because they wanted to be able to throw the dice down the table. There's so many like stereotypical like gambler things in this episode. The language they use, like 5-card Charlie. When Data's like trying to get 21 and he's like, do you know what the odds are of a 5-card Charlie? And then they just have like the craps. They say things like snake eyes. There's no explanation of like how craps works, but they just have like things that everyone knows. So throwing the dice down the table, snake eyes, all that sort of stuff. The guy has the stick to collect the
ultra
dice
typical.
Back. Yeah,
very straightforward. But I just don't think it makes like a complete sense towards this point. So the book was written about 3 foreign investors coming. So where are the foreign investors here? Like that they're taking their identity of. Look, you don't meet them. So did Riker and Worf and Data walk in at the exact time in this place's loop? Because I'm assuming it's like looping.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. Does this happen like over and over and over again? The story of this book.
Yeah.
Does it just happen over and over again, or is it all on pause because the guy's dead, right? And there's no people interacting with the story, and then all of a sudden, like they turn up and things like kick to life again.
Yeah, it does call into question like the construction of the place, and they never like really hint at it at all. They just
I think
there's
we
no
can
sign
go ahead.
whatsoever.
I think we can go ahead and say that this episode, out of episodes of Star Trek, it's one of the ones that makes the least sense when put under a microscope. It's kind of like with the original series, they would have episodes because they would just have access to some sets. They would have access to certain costumes and stuff.
Yeah.
This felt like an episode that was trying to replicate one of those TOS style episodes where they have like weird costumes and sets, right? But it also seems like they didn't do it out of necessity. They just did it because they wanted to do this episode.
Yeah, it's thoroughly enjoyable. I feel like I like the big casino set. I'm glad they went all in on a nice big set. I'm glad there wasn't loads of like going off into hotel rooms too much. I'm glad most of the action was in the lobby or whatever it is.
It's quite light on the ship as well. They don't do that many shots of cutting back to the ship, and when they do, it's only like 1 or 2 characters.
Yeah, it's very heavy on the casino. I like it. It's cool. I don't blame them. The set is like very lavish and enjoyable. And it's fresh as well for the show. It's like, not like maybe not fresh, but you know what I'm saying. Like it's
quite a unique episode. I think.
Yeah, definitely. Like the characters behave in very unique ways this episode.
There's that when they go over to play craps, the character of Texas and Vanessa, they've stopped playing blackjack and they've gone over to play craps as well. So they meet up again and get more interactions between them all.
Yeah.
And Data realizes that the dice are kind of like off balance or whatever. So Data can like throw dice in a certain way and know where the final resting position will be because it's a machine. You can kind of accept that as possible, right?
Yeah, there's people that can do trick throwing dice anyway, and yeah, Data's definitely more than adept at just throwing some dice however he needs. I was kind of confused about the 6, like why they started talking about the 6s. I thought that was a bit of a waste of time.
He wanted to throw a 7, and he threw a 6, and it's because the dice were not balanced. And then he says the objective now is to throw as many 7s as possible. And so he fixes the dice. He like crushes them in his hands and, calculates exactly how he needs to reshape them to make them do what he needs them to do.
Baby needs a new pair of shoes.
And he throws them down he makes the woman like blow on them for luck because he's seen them do that. And then when he throws them, every time he throws them, he snaps his fingers as well.
It's like
it's so fucking funny.
It's like bloody Spider-Man. It's like Tobey Maguire-esque. It's very good. It's so classic.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Bender from Futurama as well. Where he's like Bender's always cheating at gambling. It was so funny. To me, it's so funny, and I've watched this episode quite a few times, and it's still funny to me. Not the strongest act 4 of an episode, and the way they tie it up is kind of silly. So the Picard's like, in the book, the investors are described as extremely flamboyant, and they were tipping everyone, and so he's like telling Riker, as his commanding officer, to like give people money and buy them drinks and stuff. Probably one of the weirdest orders that he's ever got. And at one point, Texas like grabs the woman's arse. You see her jump. You don't actually see him. You're not going to show squeezing buttocks on a TNG show, but it's like implied, right, that's what's happening behind them, and the woman kind of jumps. That was I don't think you'd do that now, but it's very, very creepy. And after they win the money, the manager goes, "The man has the touch." I just thought that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Seven winner.
The man has the touch.
What was with Texas like betting against them and then getting mad that they won?
Yeah, I didn't get that. And Data literally was like, "I don't advise that."
Yeah, I'd advise against that. Like he's like, "I'm gonna bet against you fellas," loses instantly because Data's like won every single time, and then he gets mad at him. He's like, "Oh, why'd you do that to me?" And it's like, you weren't even part of the equation, mate. We're just trying to win money here. It's just very weird bit of dialogue. I wonder if they just had to extend the scene, and was that ad-libbed or something?
Oh,
it was
I don't
fucking
know.
dog
Yeah,
shit.
it's like I don't know how he would ever have money betting the way he does. It's such a numpty. It's a funny caricature character though. I like it.
Yeah, so they I guess buy the hotel. They're able to then leave the revolving doors, beam back up to the ship, and you get this weird scene between Riker and Picard where he's like, "Oh, it was such a weird experience. I wonder what happened." And Picard's like, "Oh, it's a puzzle we may never solve." And then they just fucking move on to the next episode. Never hear anything about it again, which is pretty typical, but just very weak ending of what is an episode that I really, really do like. That episode. I really enjoy Hotel Royale. It has so much going for it, but also some huge flaws as well.
It's mega fun. It's so much fun. But like the theorem thing, the callback, like they do this quite a few times, but it does feel very tacked on just to have like something they do in the writer's room, like, "Hey, right, we need the hook at the start, and then but we contain something in the hook that we can call back to right at the end," and it just feels so brutally forced.
They're talking about Fermat's last theorem, and they said he was like a part-time French mathematician who didn't have a computer. Yeah, Picard, the Frenchman Picard, who is extremely English and drinks tea.
French. Oh my god, how French is Jean-Luc.
I did wonder whether this theory, because the Fermat's last theorem is a real theory, and it's still unsolved. It's still unsolved today, and in Star Trek in the 24th century, it's still unsolved as well. But it's not the only episode of Star Trek that mentions it. So it's also mentioned in DS9 in season 3. But yeah, I didn't actually say that at the start. I forgot to mention that. But Picard's like just looking at a random theory because Picard's a nerd. and that's what he does in his spare time, drinks tea, and tries to solve old math.
I just like looking at it. It makes me feel alive looking at the theory. Like, what is going on with him, man? I just sit around, and then Riker comes in, and Riker's like, "I'm trying to do my job here. I'm gonna come talk to. I need to go talk to Picard. Oh, right. He's gonna chat some shit to me before I can actually get to do my job. I got to put on a brave face and listen to him."
He's in charge, so we just have to kind of put up with it.
Oh yeah, so interesting. Oh, Jean-Luc, you're so interesting. Where'd you come up with
Commander,
this stuff?
Captain, fantastic. Please show me old YouTube videos on your iPad.
Yeah.
Like, I'm at work here. Like, man,
have you seen this one with the cat?
Commander Riker, this cat is extremely long. I see that, sir. It is long.